So it seems like the stars are aligned today, my friends, because today we have the much anticipated Soundcore Liberty 3 Pro in the house, yo. This thing launches today, in fact, and I'm extremely excited to review this for you guys because if you followed my videos long enough, you know that the previous gen Liberty 2 Pro, this thing right here, is one of my favorite all-round earbuds like of all time. No, seriously, this thing is awesome. But I do wish that this was a little bit more compact and had more up-to-date features. Well, TLDR, Soundcore has fixed those things with this new model, and guess what? I think it might actually also give something like, say, the Sony WF-1000XM4 something to sweat about. So the question is, do you want to see Sony sweat in this episode? And is the 3 Pro better than the 2 Pro? Let's find out after these messages, and remember to subscribe and like if you like where this is going. That way. You know what? I am so stoked. We finally have the Liberty 3 Pro on our test bench. You have no idea how long I've been waiting for this, but I'm going to talk about some high-level specs right now, and then we'll take a close-up look at it in a second, just like always. And this time, I've also brought along the recent Liberty 2 Pro Plus. This was launched like last month as an upgrade to the OG model, and I brought this as a little side-by-side comparison just for fun. Anyways, this retails for $170, and it now comes in 4 different colors. There's Midnight Black, Fog Gray, Dust Purple, and this one, Frost White. And for your reference, in terms of price, the 2 Pro Plus right here goes for $40 less, while say the Sony WF-1000XM4 is more than $100 extra. And like recent Soundcore products, LDAC is also on board now, and so is this new thing called 3D surround sound, which basically expands and lives the soundstage just a little bit if you like that kind of thing. There's finally a bump to Bluetooth 5.2 with support for AAC, SBC, and the aforementioned LDAC. There's no aptX here, and there's now multi-point Bluetooth connection for up to 2 devices. Yes, that's awesome. But one thing to note though, that feature turns off if you have LDAC on. That's kind of a weird thing, but something I wanted to mention anyway. Also new to the L3P, and this is big guys, is active noise cancellation with wind reduction. Battery life is rated from the factory 6 hours with ANC on and LDAC off. I'm not sure what the volume was set at. I was actually getting close to that actually at 5.8 hours at 65% volume. Now with ANC and LDAC turned on, the numbers drop to around 3 hours, which is kind of expected because those two features are huge power draws. Another new thing you'll notice right away just looking at this is the dimensions are smaller in almost every aspect. Let me put the OG side by side with this thing and you can see, look at the difference. In terms of weight alone, 6 grams versus 8, 44 grams versus 62. Battery capacity is around the same, but look how more compact everything is. There's also differences in the build and material quality here. 2 things that I noticed right off the bat that stand out to me. The case has lost its grippy PU surface from the OG, and the use of glossy plastics are now on the earbuds are more prevalent than before. One thing that has stayed relatively the same though is the design and ergonomic philosophy between generations, for better or for worse. But you can see the shape has taken an evolution, but it still has that Liberty Pro kind of identity going there. One thing I want to mention real quick about the earbuds though is in my initial review of the Liberty 2 Pros, I did say that it copies the Sony WF-1000XM3s in terms of the oblong design with the Bluetooth kind of shape, Bluetooth headset kind of shape. But look at the new one, it's now more oval and it kind of reminds me of what XM4 is like. And this kind of intentional, almost intentional mimicry, I'm not sure if Soundcore intentionally did this, but in my mind as a consumer and also a reviewer, when I look at this and also the sound quality and the whole package combined with some of the features that's almost like letter to letter with Sony in some cases, I think it's like a direct competitor in a different price range. Now, one thing that they have kept, thankfully, is the slider lid is still here, thank goodness, and also how you put the earbuds back in, it still requires some finger gymnastics when you take it out a 180 and a twist of the axis to get it back in. It's still there. So the slider, it's still the same smooth action. It has a wider lip right here so you can easily grab it with your finger and pop it this way, nice and smooth. Soundcore has definitely gotten this down pat. Come on, focus. Yeah, great Panasonic focusing right there, the best in the world. The rail though is a little bit sharper than the older generation. My fingers or my skin gets caught more. There's less chamfering than before, so I'm not sure if this is an early production unit. Oh yeah, there's Qi charging still available, and the flap for the USB-C charging port is gone. So yeah, I didn't know why they had it before. That saves a lot of weight. The button to activate the battery level in your case is still there, so when you press it, the LED light comes on. And the cavity, as you mentioned, look at the light. I really love this lighting in the background. That's super awesome. But let me take this out. The contact points are still there. The lighting window is right there, and it's still shiny plastics in here. Easy to clean though, nice and wide open space. But yeah, it's still shiny plastics. And since we're here, let's also do the shake test. Yeah, that's a thumbs down right there. That's a huge fail, but double thumbs up for the lid. Alright, time to take a closer look at the earbud. And as we mentioned earlier, this thing has shrunk in terms of weight and dimensions, and also the material choices have changed. So when you put it side by side with the previous gen, you can see some of you may or may not like this. The shiny plastics here are just gonna scratch up way more easily, but some of you may like it because it looks more expensive, like a translucent pearl or something. But it's a little bit shorter than before, a little bit wider too, but also a little bit thinner than before too. Now, in terms of weight, this is really where the plus is. I can genuinely work out in it and also wear these for hours on end, not a problem at all. Because the previous gen always felt a little bit like it was about to fall out, even though it never did, because there was more pressure on my lower ear than I would like. But this has done away with that. I think part of the reason is not just the weight, but also the wingtip design. So now it's filled in, unlike before, it's a little bit less rigid, and now it's just stiffer, and it locks in your ear ridge way better than before. It's still as grippy as before too. Nice when you're sweaty or have greasy fingers. It's easy to remove and take out of your ear and such. Really nice to handle. Build quality is top notch. I think this silver or chrome surround kind of helps hide one of the assembly lines. Another plus too is this right here. Look at this gold and silver ring highlight here. It's showing off the dual driver coaxial setup. It's really nice, and it has some subtle branding right there. I'm not sure you can see it. It says ACCA 2.0, and another time it repeats here on this. Let me try to zoom it in here. Again, ACCA 2.0. So they're definitely showing off this whole setup. And just like before, sound is handled by this nose balance armature right here at the end, this rectangular piece, combined with an 11mm driver at the back here, or 10.8 to be exact. And yes, your eyes don't deceive you guys, that's a wear detection sensor, so when you remove this in and out of your ear, media starts or stops. Another highlight of this earbud is the ear tip. I really, look at this, how quick it is. This is the fastest in the West, man. And I mentioned this before for Soundcores, they will sound the fastest, but they've done one better. I'm gonna try to show you this. I'm not sure if the camera will pick this up. So their usual hardened center core, they've made a notch right there that actually locks in place and matches with the lip on the earbud itself. So you see that when you hear that click, it's done. See how quick that is? Let me pull this out and remove this again, do this again, and it's done. That's locked. But one thing you notice too, this little weird phenomenon, this jellyfish phenomenon, whatever, I don't like how soft it is and supple. It's really nice and comfortable, but when I have this in my ears and remove it, it does this. And then when I pop it back in my ear, say when I'm readjusting and it's like this, it gets jammed in my ear sometimes and doesn't provide a proper seal. So what I did was just swap it out with something else, but I do like that locking bit. It's really fast, man. It's awesome. Now, touch controls. This thing accepts, there's no button like before, but it accepts single, double, triple taps as well as hold, and is fully reassignable in the app. I've covered the Soundcore app many times before, so this time I'm going to focus on some of the new features and layout of the app instead. For example, the home screen that you see right here, it all used to be on one screen, but now you have to scroll down to access more of the functions. Right at the top under ambient sound, you can toggle between ANC, normal, and transparency mode if you like. And if this is your first time running it, if you tap ANC, it gives you the option of running the noise cancelling Hear ID test. After which you see these two options available, adaptive and manual. Adaptive basically automatically adjusts noise cancelling level or strength based on your noise environment. And I found that it's quicker in this case to respond than even the ones on Sony's, which is pretty darn impressive. Now, in previous iterations of manual, this little dial right here in the Live P3, for example, there was no text. You couldn't tell what it was doing at any given time. But now you have at least strong, moderate, and weak. And yes, that's weak with two E's. Wind noise reduction, if you toggle it on, kinda sorta works. In my experience, I never really noticed a difference. And in transparency mode, there's two available to you. There's fully transparent as well as vocal mode, where it enhances vocals. It's kind of like a cheap hearing aid kind of algorithm. But I remember seeing also a third option here called something like enhanced voice mode or something, but this screen recording was made after a software update, and so that feature disappeared. Maybe that was for testing only, maybe a beta thing. And I hope we'll see this in the future, because I remember that being very distinct, a distinct difference between vocal mode and the enhanced version. There was a really nice kick in vocals. And by the way, there is a bit of hissing between ANC mode and compared to normal mode, in case you're wondering, just a little bit. In sound mode down here, you can switch between regular codecs as well as LDAC. It takes about 10 seconds to reset. Under more settings, you can turn on wear detection right here. It's off by default. And then you can set also auto power off duration. Now, when you check out sound effects, which really I think is a misnomer in my opinion, you'll find the presets and custom 8-band EQ like before. What's new here is 3D surround sound, and this feature is locked out if you have LDAC on, like I do in this case. Alright, we're outside doing the Bluetooth range test, and yes, I have a jacket on. It's cold this morning, I'll tell you what. But first, check out those colors, the sun coming through, the fall leaves there. It's awesome, isn't it? But anyways, I have I Believe in Love by Jessie J. This song is from 2018, but dang, it has a good jam, man. I love listening to it now. But anyways, I'm gonna put the phone, or have the phone at the end of my deck right there. And how this works, guys, is I'm gonna walk from the back of my house towards the side and see when these things start cutting off from each other. So these Liberty 3 Pros have Bluetooth 5.2. Well, anyways, there's the phone there, and where I'm standing is 25 feet. So Bluetooth 5.2 should last around 25-30 feet before we start hearing some connection issues, some cutouts. I'm walking, actually where I am here is 32. And I just got a sputtering, like on cue, it's doing what it's supposed to do. So spot on right there. But I'm gonna keep walking until we get a full disconnect. How you guys doing? It's still sputtering. Right now it's unintelligible, pointless to listen to this, but just for fun, we want to figure out where. I'm not hearing a disconnect tone, but music has completely stopped. My guess, it's already disconnected. I'm kind of disappointed in terms of audio cues here. It'd be nice if they actually told me disconnected or something. And by the way, you can see the fit of these things in my ears. Hey, let me take this off and put on the first gen, and then we'll see how these things look comparatively. So I can say it's about 1.5 millimeters, 2 millimeters less protruding than the old one. You can see this. Look at that. It's more flush with my ears now. It's not the smallest, of course, I know, but it's still pretty darn close. Yeah, I'm back in range again, and I'm not getting anything. I just got a tone. I just got a reconnect tone. So yeah, it doesn't tell you when it disconnects, so that's a bummer. But yes, you can see the fit of these a whole lot better than before. Very comfortable. I'm kind of eager to find out how it does in phone call quality, so let's head down to the road in a second. Let me take us down to the road right now to get some sound samples to see how these things handle noise suppression as traffic passes by like this. I'm going to switch between the G85 and the mics on these L3Ps at 3 per side. And by the way, if you hear any kind of audio clipping, it's only because I'm projecting my voice right into the camera, so I'm kind of probably overpowering the mic. So I'm going to try to talk at a normal voice from time to time, and you can hear that the sound quality, and this is what I found, the sound quality is pretty darn good. My bass, the clarity is retained, and there's barely any crackling, especially when the algorithm is trying to work with suppressing noise. But two things I did notice that is very different from other sound cores I've tested. Firstly is when there's low rumbling sounds like from a big truck tire or engine, sometimes it does come through into the recording. Secondly is also the transparency mode, or the lack thereof, because if you have active noise cancellation on and you get a phone call, in the past sound cores would just turn on transparency mode so you can have better situational awareness. I think that's a great safety feature. But in this case, I think they forgot to do that because it stays on. I wish Soundcore would give us an option, so maybe the next firmware update they can fix that. Another thing too is wind noise. Right now it's really quiet. There's not much wind going on. I'm gonna keep talking. Here comes more traffic. But I tested these earlier too, and with transparency mode on, wind noise reduction on, could barely tell a difference when I toggled it. It's okay. But in terms of overall performance, this thing is above average. I'll tell you what, it's very nice and solid. Even though Soundcore is doing their own thing, there's no Qualcomm chip here. But it's really, really good here. It's very similar to, in performance, if I remember correctly, the Live P3, for what it's worth. So anyways, and now I know why people have been staring at me really funny. It's not because I'm talking here with a big honking camera. It's because I look like a giant pumpkin. Ooh, thank goodness they didn't mess too much with the formula. Sound quality straight out of the box with these Liberty 3 Pros is slightly more composed now, and dare I say brighter at the same time. Compared to the 2 Pros though, I think it's lost some of the warmth that I do like, just a little bit, and about 5 to 10% lower amplification. I'm not sure why it does that. In the default Soundcore EQ setting, the highs on these threes are a little bit tighter as well, that's a good thing. But the bass in turn is also a little bit more muffled, especially with certain instruments like kick drums and also like keyboards when they play low notes on reverb. Now, you can dial in some of the warmth back into the midtones by playing with the EQs, I've noticed that, and also some of the included presets, they do that too. But it's still no match for the Sony WF-1000XM4. That thing is so warm that scientists have identified it as one of the sources of global warming. That's a fact. A quick word about the new 3D surround sound though. It's possible that this is not what it was designed to do, but I noticed that if you don't have FLAC files on hand or any kind of high-def streams, using this feature with standard quality audio seems to lift it up a bit beyond what your best EQ setting can do. But on the other hand, if you can leverage it, LDAC has ever so slightly better composure and warmer sound on all frequencies, with the vocals especially benefiting with a fuller, rounder profile. And this is where the L3P brings the fight closer to the Sony WF, in my opinion. You know what? I am not a fan of how small certain earbud models have become. I'm looking at you, Samsung. To the point of being too hard to handle even with regular sized fingers, and also too easy to accidentally activate a touch command, for example. The L3P is just the right type of downsizing. It's not too big, it's not too small, with the right balance of size and weight. It might not be class leading, but the active noise cancellation on this thing is one of the best. I'll say top 8, easy. And why top 8 and not top 10? Well, it's my show and I'll say what I want. But the fact that you can tweak it also with Hear ID to adapt to whatever noise environment you're in is really cool. And I'll say at the same time, definitely not as finicky as the adaptive one used by the Sony. Alright, time for the negatives. $170 for a Soundcore. Man, who would have thunk, right? It's the reality of things, but that doesn't mean I'm a fan of the price bump. Sure, it's probably to pay off Sony for the LDAC license, but it would have been awesome if Soundcore had kept the price close to the original model. Some of you may think that it feels or even looks classier now. I say the use of shinier plastics means that this will scratch and smudge faster than you can say, the bean counters told me to do it. And last but not least, do you know what happens, ladies and gentlemen, whenever a earbud rejects its button control past and adopts touch controls? Well, an angel loses its wings each time. Yes, it's very sad. I've seen it happen. It just falls right off. No notice whatsoever. It's no pain though, so that's good, I guess. So compared to the previous model, I think the Liberty 3 Pro is the same but so different at the same time, if you catch my drift. I'm kind of waxing poetic there, but it's same in a good way because the fantastic sound that I loved before is still there, but with little tweaks thrown in just for good measure. But by introducing also a whole slew of tech and software upgrades that work like a well-oiled machine, I've got a feeling that these earbuds and Soundcore in general are taking it to the big guns like say Jabra, Sony, and even Sennheiser. It's really a superb device thanks to the sum of its parts, and I really love it for that. And yes, the L2P was great, but the next gen takes it up a notch, making it an even more well-rounded device with even more control than ever before. But on the flip side, the price could be better, I think, because I get that Soundcore wants to go up market with this thing, and really this is the product to do it with, but I think $140, $150, that would have been the ideal sweet spot. And I also don't think you need to upgrade if you really own one of these or don't need the tech upgrades, because the sound quality on these are tight, and there's the fact that there's still button controls. So with all that said, I want to give the Liberty 3 Pro a GearUP score of 8.8 out of 10, and this is how I broke it down to get the final score. If you have any questions about it, feel free to comment down below. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna see how high this thing can go. Stay up. Come on, let's do this. Yes, I feel all achieved right now. Yes, 1,000,000 points. That's all I got, guys. Thank you so much for watching this, by the way, and also thank you to Soundcore for sending me this early unit L3P to test out. Thank you for your trust. And guys, if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel, mash and kill the button down below, turn on the bell notification icon, and share the heck out of this channel. I need your help. YouTube is not doing its job passing this channel around, so it's up to you guys, and thank you in advance for your help. And if you can, visit my Patreon page down here too. You can see my Patreons right here who believe in this channel, who want to financially support it. Their names show out here, among other things. Now, if you haven't already, also remember to thumbs up if you like this video and comment nicely down below. That's a good thing and right thing to do. And thumbs down. Thumbs down to if you've been training a raccoon to work in your convenience store. Yes. Do you know that's a hard place for a raccoon to be? No matter how hard it tries to please you, its master, you know it's never really going to succeed because, when people walk into the store, they walk into the doors of a convenience store, they're not going to see a raccoon, your employee. they're gonna see a thief. Yes, you know, because with all the stripes and that was bad. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this, guys. I love y'all so much, and I can't wait to see you next time. Remember, in the meantime, do something good and loving and kind for somebody in this world, because the world needs it more than ever, and it starts with you. Peace out. God bless. Love y'all. Trying to do it. There you go.